Thank you for watching Tomorrow's America. As always, we have a great show planned for you today. A lot of news. Trump assassination attempt is one of the big ones. Also, MAHA versus Monsanto. This case against all the pesticides that are being sprayed. um, and just really a whole bunch more. Looks like the Trump administration is finally making some moves against the deep state, which is pretty encouraging. But like in the past, I guess we'll see what happens because these things tend to almost like, in the NFL when they throw a pass and you're watching it, it almost looks slow motion and it's coming into the receiver's hands, but then he bobbles the football and drops it. Uh, that's what the Trump administration has done with cases against trying to prosecute the deep state time and time again. So we'll see if they're able to do anything with it. Before I get into all that, please like and share this video, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment, and please let me know what you think about this information. Send this to anyone that you know that you think could use the information. And with that, we'll get right into it. So the first thing I want to cover, the Iran war is obviously still well underway. Strait of Hormuz is closed. We've covered all that. And if you're interested in some of our coverage of that, you can go back and just look at the headlines on some of our videos. Iran war day, whatever. We are approaching day 60, which I guess according to the law, you, as a president, without officially declaring war, you can only go on a military, you know, a special mission for 60 days before there has to be an official declaration of war, or you have to pull out of your special military operation within 30 days of the 60-day time period ending. So we're coming up on that. As a result of this Iran-Israel war, United Arab Emirates leaves OPEC. So that's a big deal. OPEC is uh, uh, basically an agreement between some of the Arab states on how they're going to put out oil, and it's mostly uh, signing on to complying with the petrodollar and the existing system as it's regulated by the United States and Britain and some of those countries. We ask OPEC to do certain things, they might fight back. It's kind of made to be like a little rivalry, but it really is in compliance with things that we want. So the UAE leaving OPEC is a big deal. It's a heavy blow to the oil exporting groups and de facto leaders, Saudi Arabia, at the time. And we don't have to get into this whole article because it starts talking about Saudi Arabia and all this other stuff. Basically, here, I'll read this. The move comes amid skyrocketing global oil prices due to the U.S. Israel war with Iran and issues with tankers traveling through the Strait of Hormuz. The UAE said it came to the decision due to its long-term strategic and economic vision for evolving energy profile, including accelerated investment in domestic energy production, and reinforces its commitment to a responsible, reliable, and forward-looking role in global energy markets. So they've left, and we see a lot of this happening where now Iran is wanting to trade in the yen versus the U.S. dollar and all sorts of things like this. It's basically a shakeup in the global system and the global economy. So far, for so long, we've relied on you know on time delivery of products and just hoping that this whole supply chain ecosystem functions the way it has for a long time. But if there's any break in this supply chain, it's massive and it goes across all of industry. So it looks like there's a little reorganization with these things, trying to essentially, where things have shifted, the power structure hasn't shifted, and now it needs to be reorganized to fall into the places where it belongs. Everything's settling right now. Um, so that's a pretty big deal. Uh, with the Ukraine conflict, this is my second article here, and it's having to do with Ukraine. And then I'm going to jump into some of the bigger topics, but I just wanted to knock these two articles out. So, North Korea confirms suicide rule for soldiers Ukraine captures. We're fighting countries right now, whether it's through our proxy in Ukraine or against Iran or a lot of these countries where they have an ideological reason to fight to the death, or they have economic reason or an existential reason to fight to the death against us. And North Korea confirms North Korean leader Kim Jong un confirmed a policy that requires soldiers to commit suicide on the battlefield to avoid capture while fighting against Russia. While fighting Russia's war against Ukraine. So North Korea has their soldiers fighting to the death against Ukrainians, and that, just think about the implications of this. The Middle East, Russia, Europe, NATO, Asian countries now getting involved. It's all boiling over. And luckily, it's over there so far. But we are involved in these things. So to think that the U.S. is untouchable is just insane. It's an insane thought process, and it really doesn't make any sense. But these conflicts are growing, and the pot. It's like a pot of pasta in water. It's boiling and it's boiling, and you leave the room. A lot of people in this country have left the room. They put the water on the boil and left the room, and you know, unless you're paying attention, when you come back, the water's going to boil over all over the kitchen and cause a huge mess. Well, right now, this water is boiling over. If you just look up and notice it, you could save this problem. And we have to save this issue because basically, with the analogy, if that pot boils over, it's not just going to put water all over the kitchen. This is like the potential for global nuclear war, with all these countries involved and all the tension, all the brinksmanship, all the violations of treaties and mishandling of trust between countries, lack of diplomacy. This all has the potential to boil over into a chaotic situation, however that turns out to be. But worst case scenario, global thermonuclear war, which would not be fun for anybody. So my recommendation is that we try and figure out how to end this problem before it gets out of hand. And it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. And realistically, I've said it before. There's different ways to have power. Right here, Men and Powers, by Helmut Schmidt. He talks about some of the different ways to have power. You could have power through money. You could have power through influence. You could have power through a military dominance, or you could have power through strength in numbers. We the people, it says, the first words of the Constitution, we the people of these United States Uh, Here, let's just read it right out of the Constitution. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. We the people, formed this perfect union, and we formed it for liberty, general welfare, all the things I just mentioned. Right now, this perfect union is not providing us these things, and we have to show our power by strength and numbers and go up against these things. Go out and demonstrate against nuclear war and say, you can make a sign that's something simple like uh, X amount of homeless people in the United States. Why are we in Iran again? Question mark. Something simple, or a big banner, two people holding it, one on each end, that says no nuclear war, and you just hold it up and stand out there and demonstrate. There's lots of ways that we can influence our politics. Pay attention to the midterms, go out and vote in the primaries, vote in local elections. There's a phrase that said, think global, act local. Now, I don't care about global, but think continental, act local. We need to change the policies of government continentally, or for the United States, and therefore that starts with local government. You know, uh, these local politicians, a lot of times they run uncontested races, and then they're just a puppet. Somebody uh, goes into them and uses their mouth and makes them say what they want them to say, and then the states have an element of that. It's a build up, from the top down, where these powers all end up doing the same things. They make it look like they're opposed with each other. The local governments or different people, you pay attention to all the conflicts, but everywhere across the United States, and then bigger than that, everywhere across the world, the same policies are leading to the same problems, which are leading to the same solutions, which are leading to more problems that all turn out to be the same, because it's a program, it's a system. The function of a system is what it does. So if the system is, creating problems, causing a reaction, offering the solution, and then the solution turns out to worsen the problem. So then they need a new solution, which then creates more problems. It's a cycle. It's the snowball effect. It's been rolling down the hill, and it's growing and growing and growing because it's unchecked, and it's able to continue to go down this path. And so these problems are just ridiculous. We can affect change, and we should. So I encourage everyone to go out and stand up. Pick an area, pick a topic, something you're passionate about, and go out and advocate for that thing. Because no matter what, left, right, center, old, young, black, white, no matter who you are, you believe something, whatever it is. You might disagree with me and believe in something, and you believe in that thing because you genuinely care and believe in it. Maybe you believe in something, you genuinely care about it, and in my heart, I say, man, this dude is so wrong. Everything he thinks is wrong. Everything he stands for is wrong. I could disagree with you, but maybe I don't understand why you believe the thing that you believe. And maybe if you go out and advocate, you could change my mind. Or maybe if I advocate, I can change your mind. We can all use free speech, and that's really the whole purpose of democracy and the whole purpose of free speech is, it blends in together, and all the representation of all the ideas playing out into this system and all these opinions being offered. You might get a little bit of this and a little bit of that mixed together for the best of both worlds. But if nobody's advocating for anything, the only people advocating, the only power that's going to go into DC and they're going to lobby for what they want is big pharma, Monsanto, uh, all these different companies, corporations that are going to go in and advocate for what they want. Well, all the government's going to listen to is, what they hear. So if they got this idea and they're like, hey, should I pass this bill? And you hear crickets from the American people, but you get a $20,000 check from a lobbying company that, wants this bill passed, or from some corporation. Well, technically you are representing the opinions of the voices that you heard from the people, and the people just so happen to own massive corporations. But with the lack of input from the United States people, phone calls, letters, emails, anything, any way you could reach out and contact your representatives and ask them for something, with the lack of that, they are forced to only listen to these corporations. And it's really creating conditions of fascism where the government, they might want censorship, but they don't want to do it themselves. They don't want to violate your First Amendment. So they just have Facebook do it. And then they say, oh, we didn't limit your speech. Facebook did, and they have the right to do that or whatever. Well, if you're not on Facebook, then Facebook doesn't have, they have the right to go, I don't even want I don't even want to use my analogy. They have the right to go take a hike because you're not under their thumb and under their system. You go to Rumble now instead, or you go to different platforms now instead. Or there's just so many examples, but be your own advocate. Advocate for the future generations. Pray about these things. Advocate to the number one leadership, your king. Christ is king, and appeal to him and ask for your leaders to see things clearly, but also advocate for yourself on this earth, because you know if you're drowning in a flood and there's a boat there, and you're like, well, God protects me, God understands my heart, he, is going to take care of me for whatever, and you just don't climb in the boat and you end up drowning, and you say, God, what happened? Why didn't you save me? I was faithful, I thought, whatever. God's gonna say, I tried to save you. There was a boat right there. All that you had to do was climb into it. And we're not climbing into these lifeboats. We're not doing things ourselves for ourselves. And that's a huge part of this problem, is that people say, oh, well, I voted. You could vote once every 4 years, and you think that you're going to have a change in the country, then you really don't understand the way things work. Uh, I'm going on a little rant here, but be your own advocate, and pray for this country, please. Okay, so the White House Correspondents' Dinner. There was a assassination attempt on the president and leadership, excluding Kash Patel for some reason. Apparently, the would-be assassin was very fond of Kash Patel and liked his work. I guess, which I don't know what work that he would have to say that he agreed with, but essentially targeting um, executive branch leadership. So April 25th, 2026, Washington Hilton in Washington D.C. Hosted the White House Correspondents' Dinner around 8:30 to 8:35. A gunman opened fire near a security checkpoint outside the ballroom where the event was happening. Secret Service and law enforcement quickly engaged and subdued the suspect before he reached the main event area. So, apparently, the suspect was identified as Cole Thomas Allen, 31, a teacher from California. He was armed with a shotgun, a handgun, and multiple knives. He was staying at the hotel. He bypassed security by going different routes through the building. So he got to the door where the event was being held. Apparently, pulls out a shotgun and turns around real fast, shoots a gun, expecting security to dive on the ground, to try and avoid getting shot. And as he blows off rounds, he charges towards the room where the event is taking place. Um, Security was able to get off some rounds, which I don't think that they actually hit him with any of the rounds, but they were able to take him down, and he never made it into the ballroom. So there was no fatalities. One of the Secret Service agents was shot, but he was shot in the bulletproof vest and was not injured. And authorities are saying it was a lone wolf attack, and basically, yeah, it's under investigation, and I'm sure more information will come out. Now, that being said, there's not a lot of information to go off of. I mean, we know who the guy was. We know he was a leftist. We know he wanted to kill Trump and some administration officials. He wrote a manifesto. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that this was uh, orchestrated by Erica Kirk or orchestrated by Israel or orchestrated by any of these things. And I don't think any of those things so far, because there's no evidence of it. What there is evidence of is a crazy guy went to the event and tried to do what we just explained. And he was unsuccessful. Now, if more information comes out, it did seem to me not like any of these conspiracies that people are pushing, but it did seem to me like security itself is the scandal, that there wasn't more security, and it was very weak security. You show your ticket at one table, you go to the next one where you go through x-ray machine or whatever, and come out the other side. If you're a woman with a purse, they search your bag, and then you go in. So 2 layers of security, but not very heavily armed, it didn't look like. And yeah, so if anything, that's the scandal. Now, this video here, the video that's going around of this assassin running past the security, the video that's going around is what confuses me. Why is the video, in the video you'll see in this report I'm about to play, but why is the video, one, super grainy, two, taken with a video taken of a computer screen showing the video? So it's like, a video of a video. And three, is that so the news is playing this video over and over again? Is that the video that they're going to use to show the judge in the court case to try and convict this guy? Why didn't the police go and download the security footage from this event and then release that? Why did they take a video of a video? And that's another concerning thing for me. So I'm going to play this report by ABC News, and just kind of talks about what happened and who he was, and it also plays that video that I was just describing.
We do have breaking news now at 11:30. The suspected gunman in an attack at the White House Correspondents' Dinner just made his first court appearance since his arrest on Saturday. New details from inside that hearing and the felony charges he now faces. You're watching Eyewitness News at 11:30. We're live on ABC 7, Hulu, and wherever you stream. I'm Philip Palmer.
And I'm Colleen Sullivan. The suspect, Cole Allen, now facing 3 felony counts of attempted assassination of the president. Allen walked into court wearing a blue jumpsuit before taking his seat. He will be charged with 2 counts of using a firearm during a crime of violence and 1 count of assault on an officer using a dangerous weapon.
ABC's Olivia Rubin is live in Washington, D.C. with some of the details. These are breaking details, including a possible motive. Olivia?
Philip, good afternoon. This would appear to be the 3rd attempt on President Trump's life in just 2 years. And he said he wasn't afraid and is praising law enforcement for stopping the suspect. But still, there are so many questions here, including how the suspect was able to get those weapons inside the hotel in the first place.
Today, the man accused of storming the White House Correspondents' Dinner armed with 2 guns and a knife, set to make his first court appearance and face federal charges. Law enforcement identifying the suspect as 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen. President Trump, Vice President Vance, multiple cabinet members, and thousands of journalists inside the ballroom at the Washington Hilton Saturday night when police say Allen ran past a security checkpoint. The president posting this video of the alleged suspect. Police say Allen shot a security service member before agents took him into custody. Trump and the First Lady on stage when gunshots rang out, soon rushed out by Secret Service. Trump recounting that moment on CBS this weekend.
And they said, please go down to the floor, please go down to the floor. So I dropped to the floor, so did the First Lady.
And praising law enforcement for acting quickly. Authorities say Allen booked a room at the hotel and traveled by train from California. Saturday night, they believe Allen used a stairwell out of public view to get close to that ballroom downstairs. And in a message sent to his family just before the attack, sources say Allen described himself as a, quote, friendly federal assassin, describing grievances against the Trump administration, saying he planned to target officials, prioritizing them from highest ranking to lowest.
We are actively combing through all the evidence that we've collected and going to continue to do that today and in the coming days and weeks.
And now
Okay, so yeah, we saw that video there. It was like a video of a computer screen with the grainiest footage you've ever seen. You see the guy dart by, and then the police turn around and open fire on him. I just have to say, we had better footage of the moon landing in 1969 than we have of this event, and just that alone is like disgraceful. What are we doing? What is with why are we hosting the president at an event where you can't even make out the video footage? Such a low security environment for someone who's had multiple assassination attempts on them makes no sense. That's the scandal. So far, that's what we know. And I guess I could leave that at that. Now, they are calling for Jimmy Kimmel to be fired, President Trump. Apparently, days before this assassination, Jimmy Kimmel made a joke and he said, oh yeah, Melania looks, I think he said, and this is just from memory, I think he said, Melania looks radiant. She's got that glow of a future widow, and you know, like an expecting widow, I think he said. which is like a play on expecting mothers when a woman, has become pregnant. You could see signs of it because their skin is glowing, they look radiant. So he's saying, "Oh yeah, she looked radiant. She looked like an expectant widow," and everyone laughed, and it was supposed to. But that's politically violent rhetoric. Essentially, you got millions of people watching, and you turned killing the president into a joke on live TV. So the White House responded and called for him to be fired. And yeah, that whole thing's a joke. I don't care about Jimmy Kimmel, the conflict between Jimmy Kimmel and Trump and all that. But if you're gonna come out and say something like that, that's when I start to care. So Jimmy Kimmel, for all I care, he could be fired off the air, or he could continue to spout off his bull crap. Nobody watches him anyway, so not super important, but I did think that it was worth mentioning because it shows how the media, could potentially play a role in someone thinking this. If you're watching mainstream TV and the guy's like, man, someone should do something about this guy. If anyone did something, that would I wouldn't be mad. And they couch their language, but they also, in a way, advocate for something like what we just saw. Uh, that's just ridiculous. So I'm gonna switch gears here. I'm gonna talk about MAHA and Monsanto and the whole controversy that we're seeing play out right now. They're trying to pass laws, and they're trying to frame this as if MAHA is going after farmers, and they're saying, it's MAHA moms make America healthy again versus the farmers. It's not them versus the farmers. It's them versus Monsanto and these companies that are putting out pesticides, because a lot of farmers are getting Hodgkin's lymphoma from spraying these pesticides, and then people are eating the pesticides. It's unhealthy for both the farmer and the consumer. Therefore, MAHA is going after them. The media would like you to believe that MAHA wants to take down the little man farmer and cause them not to be successful or whatever, when in reality they just want them to clean up some of the chemicals that are being sprayed. So Make America Healthy Again is asking for reduced processing of foods and chemical exposure to those foods. There's skepticism of large food and pharmaceutical corporations. MAHA wants to promote organic and regenerative agriculture, and they have concerns about pesticides, GMOs, and additives to foods. Monsanto is developing genetically modified crops. They're producing herbicides like Roundup, and there's legal battles alleging health risks relating to the glyphosates. That's the controversy, and obviously I stand on the side of the Make America Healthy Again group. I don't want to eat glyphosate in my food. I don't want farmers to have to spray this glyphosate. It's 2026. I'm sure that we could come up with some kind of solution to this problem that doesn't involve spraying toxic chemicals onto the food that we're going to eat. And it's just as simple as that. There's nothing more to it. They'd like to make this out to be like, oh, well, with our current system and the way things work, that's how we grow so much food and have all this abundance. And you don't want to threaten that. And you don't want to threaten this. We don't want to threaten it. We want to substitute. It's not Like when you put artificial sweetener in your coffee, or let's do it the other way around. When you're putting artificial sweetener in your coffee and you say, okay, well, I read online artificial sweeteners aren't good, I'm going to take that out. Well, now you just have, if you didn't put cream in it, now you just have regular coffee. So you can substitute your normal artificial sweetener, which the artificial sweeteners are the substitute, but just for the purpose of this analogy, because I use real sugar. So I use real sugar instead of artificial sugar because it's healthier in certain ways. So, it's not that you just don't want me to have sweet coffee. No, I'm saying you can still have coffee with sweetness to it, but just use sugar because this other stuff has X, Y, and Z problems associated with it. And I think that this is better. And that's what MAHA is doing. So I support them. I think that you should too. And that's a big deal right now. We don't realize the health effects of these chemicals and all the things. We just live every day and eat all this stuff, and you wonder, why is my stomach hurting, or oh my god, I used to eat bread all the time, and now I can't eat bread anymore. I have celiac disease, or I have this thing going on. And we don't realize the problems that we have because the pharmaceutical companies, the food industry, they all play into each other. They all, oh well, let me look into that. And then, you say, oh my god, uh I you think that I stole from you? Well, let me look at that. Nope, I didn't steal from you. You say, let me see it. And they, well, no, I mean, I just investigated it. I promise I didn't steal from you. That's what the food industry is doing. There's, revolving door with food companies, the FDA, the medical system. They all work for all the companies and work for all the regulatory industries, and they all work for each other to continue to prop up what I would boil down to being Rockefeller medicine and Monsanto food and all these things, help each other to continue to exist when there's a lot of problems coming out with the medical industry and with the food industry. So hopefully we see shakeups with all of those things, and at least someone's talking about it. So, all right. We're talking about food and medical industry. Right now, former senior advisor to Dr. Anthony Fauci has been indicted on criminal charges over COVID cover-up. XNAID head next? Question mark. Dr. David Morins, a former National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease employee and top advisor to the agency's former head, Dr. Anthony Fauci, was indicted on Tuesday for attempting to evade Freedom of Information Act requests in connection with COVID-19 research grants. The criminal charges come after Dr. Morins was caught allegedly trying to cover up the origins of COVID, which the origins of COVID was made at Chapel Hill, North Carolina, I believe. Obama passed a law shutting down gain of function research. So EcoHealth Alliance, Peter Daszak, with the help of Anthony Fauci, moved the research from Chapel Hill to Wuhan, China, and it was still American-funded gain-of-function research, lab-grown virus that was released onto the world, and it's been covered up for years. Now we're seeing an indictment onto this, and hopefully, we see Anthony Fauci held accountable for what he did, not only creating the virus, but having the vaccine preloaded for the response to the virus, and then using this crisis to manufacture consent, create fear, and then push the COVID vaccine onto people. That's what happened. And as time goes on, when they write the history books, that will be the story. So right now we're seeing people be held accountable for that, which is great. Some more accountability. FBI agents raid Minneapolis Quality Leering Center and other facilities in Somali fraud probe. So, federal agents are finally doing something about this fraud that Nick Shirley exposed. And the Trump administration FBI on Tuesday raided Minnesota's Quality Leering Center, which they did change the name the day after this video went viral. So I think now they are the Quality Learning Center, but that's what they're known as. The FBI raided the Quality Leering Center and 20 more alleged child care facilities across Minneapolis in a sweeping investigation into a fraud scheme primarily run by Somali locals. So, this is good. We should have seen this action take place when the protests were happening in Minnesota, all this chaos. You got Governor or Mayor Jacob Fry calling specifically for violence against ICE agents. You got all the fraud coming out. All these conflicts were boiling over that we could have used taking down this Somali fraud scandal as a way to legitimize the deportation efforts and the fraud being cleaned up, just made it a whole package of, hey, we're fixing Minnesota. These are the problems. These are the solutions. Hey, look, here's how much was stolen from your tax money. Please get behind us. We need you. We dropped the ball on those things. We let the ball lay on the ground while we tied our shoes, and then the other team ran a touchdown, and we got up and well, they scored on us. Well, now we have to use the next drive to get downfield, and we're going to score back on them. That's great, but it's a little too late. You could have picked up the football when the time was and actually done something about it. So, looks like too little too late as far as I'm concerned. But I think that this is, a good development. I just don't like the timing of it. And continuing on the theme of accountability, now James Comey is facing his second indictment, again with the football analogy. The Trump administration bobbled the football and dropped it the first time. Now we're on attempt number 2 to indict James Comey, and this time they're indicting him over his social media post where he said 8647. And we talked about that before. 86 means to end or to, to stop the existence of something. Hey, 86 that order, we don't anymore. I mean, it's a common term. Rap songs, like, I can't even, I don't know, because I'll end up swearing or saying something wrong, but there's rap songs that said you know, last customer who came on my block got 86th or whatever. They, it's hard to think of an example that's not surrounded by profanity. But anyway, gangster rap uses it because they know that it's a term for taking out your enemies. The mafia uses it. Restaurants use it. 86 that order. Restaurants use it. And James Comey used it, and he said 8647, meaning take out the 47th president of the United States. And he could play cute and he could smile and say, "Oh yeah, I was just walking down the beach and I found some seashells that were arranged with this message. I didn't know it was a political message." Uh Chances are he's the one who arranged those seashells and took the picture and posted it online. And there's no evidence saying otherwise. And you know, the whole thing. So proving this, I guess, might be a problem for the United States. But at least, the Southern Poverty Law Center, we saw them being indicted. We've seen, all these different things that I just showed you, looking as if the Trump administration is going to hold some of these people accountable. So everyone knows I've been very critical of Trump in the recent past. When he does bad things, I criticize him and want him to do the right thing, and I'll push him if I have any influence, but I will push the narrative back towards our truthful path and try and get people to understand things and then go out and advocate to have him course correct. Uh we are seeing a little bit that looks like he's trying to course correct, and those things I'll cheerlead. I'll say that Trump's doing a great job. I hope James Comey is held accountable. I hope the SPLC is held accountable for funding white supremacist groups like the KKK. I'll cheerlead those things, but I'm not going to cheerlead the war in Iran, or stopping the mass deportations. All those things to me are just as important as accountability with the deep state. These other things, no new wars. Uh, Basically, I want what we were promised, and if we don't get it, then I will say something. And if we do get something that we were promised, I will sing Trump's praises about that thing. And then, oh yeah, yes, we indicted James Comey. This is great. Now, can we please get out of Iran and please stop funding Israel's entire society, and please stop sending billions of dollars over to Ukraine? That would be great. But yes, at least we did get one thing. James Comey has an indictment. That's good. Not super important, but pretty good. Good job, Trump. Little clap. You get a little clap, not a whole standing ovation, because so far this show has not been everything that it's supposed to be. And then last but not least, we're talking about accountability here with these last couple things. It seems as though accountability is less based on the law and more arbitrary. He's a low income person, and well, yeah, or no, he's a asylum seeker. He's under our asylum program. He doesn't know any better. He didn't know that you can't take advantage of a woman and have your way with her whenever you want to. He didn't know that. He shouldn't face jail time. That's happening all over the world. Um, Specifically because of somebody's immigration status, they get off of crimes, or specifically because you have the preferred race of a politician, you get off of crimes. It was always the running joke that white people could get away with anything. Dave Chappelle did that whole skit where his buddy Chip got pulled over and he said, I didn't know I couldn't do that. And the cops are like, oh, well, okay. If you didn't know, that's fine. Go ahead, get on out of here. Okay. And he takes off. And it was always the joke white people could get away with anything. The system is rigged, white people, blah, blah, blah. And maybe that was the case, and maybe those people had their preferred race of people that they would let off. Now, almost as if to equal the playing field, other people would pick their new favorite races, and certain people of other races are getting off specifically because of the color of their skin or because of the alleged injustices of the whole system. Well, this guy came up in a system that's unjust. So to counterbalance the injustices that he's faced, we're gonna create injustice for this family that he just hurt and tore away their son, that they'll never be able to see or love or talk to again. Yeah, he's gone, and that's sad, but this guy faced injustice, so now there's injustice across the board because we're not going to hold him accountable. There's going to be no justice. If he can't have grown up in a just system, then there's not going to be justice for you because he, didn't have justice when he was a kid or whatever. The whole thing. We need to get back to law and order. No matter who you are or what you are or where you came from or what you've done in the past, no matter who you are, this is the crime. You did it. You're being sentenced. You can't do the crime or you can't do the time. Don't do the crime, right? Doesn't matter who you are. Everyone should be held to accountability equally across the board. And I think everyone can agree with that. Normal people. But there's a lot of radical people who view things this way. They say, oh, well, I don't like what you think, so you shouldn't be allowed to say it. Okay. Well, what if I didn't like what you think? Would you feel the same way if I didn't allow you to say what you wanted to say? Okay. Then I get to say what I want to say. You get to say what you want to say. And if we don't like it, we don't have to listen to each other. And we move on. We're adults. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. We learned that in kindergarten. So, applying things equally is super important. And in this example, a Canadian judge gives a man who assaulted a child a lighter sentence because he's Indigenous. He's a Native American or a Native Canadian or whatever. A Canadian judge gave a lighter sentence to an Indigenous man who violently assaulted a child because of what she calls the effects of colonization on the individual. The case concerns a 33-year-old man known as KJM due to a publication ban from British Columbia, who was charged with 2 assaults on his girlfriend's 2 children, which happened last year. The man has admitted to choking and kicking the child, and the assaults were filmed on the nanny cam. British Columbia provincial court judge Tamara Golinsky, in her April 7th ruling, gave the man 2 concurrent sentences of 6 months in jail. He was also given 18 months of probation, mandatory counseling, and has to give a DNA sample and not allowed to own firearms for 15 years. The Crown had wanted 1 year in jail, while defensive lawyers wanted a conditional sentence of 2 years less, 2 years or community service. The assaults were described as serious and deliberate acts of violence. The judge cited the man's history of substance abuse and traumatic brain injury from a past ATV accident, as well as colonization, as mitigating factors in the concurrent sentences of 6 months in jail. So, lower sentencing time for being an indigenous Native American, because the big bad evil white colonizers came here long before he was born. He grew up in a system that already existed and already was in place, but somehow he feels the effects of colonization, which he never went through. Therefore, he deserves a lighter sentence. So, again, just totally asinine, makes no sense, shouldn't be a thing, and it's up to us to stand up for it. That seems to be the theme of the day, is that it's up to you to stand up for yourself. Nobody is gonna come out and say, "Oh, poor little Willie, poor little Will, look at him, he's crying, look what you did, you made him cry, take it back." There, don't don't implement a nationwide digital surveillance grid where you record everything that he does on his phone. You made him cry. Don't. Oh my God. You want to. This is another thing that's going on in the world. Oh, you want to make cars read people's, whether they're tired or whether they're drinking alcohol, or whether they're not paying attention to the road. You want to force car manufacturers to put out technology that monitors people and will disable the car if you're deemed not able to drive by the car, which could be wrong or could be doing whatever. You want to do that? Look at it. You made him cry. Nobody's gonna come out and hold your hand and say, Mr. Trump, you need to apologize to Will right now. You made him cry. You made him feel bad, and you hurt his feelings. So please look him in the eyes and apologize to Will right now, and take back that nasty law that you did because you made him cry. No, they're not going to do that. You have to get angry. You have to get mean. You have to paint your face and go into battle politically, spiritually, and metaphysically. You have to go into the spiritual warfare and stand up for the things that you think are right. Only you can do it. Be your own advocate. Pray for this country. Pray for the United States. Pray for Donald Trump, and for the world peace. And just, you could start off personally by being a better person, setting an example for others, being a leader, doing something in your community that you stand up for, whether anybody agrees with it or not. You stand up for what you believe in, and I will have your back no matter what. And I thank you all for everything you guys do on an individual basis. I thank you for watching. Please like and share and subscribe to this video. Send this to anyone that you know that could use a little pull start, and get their engine running, and then set them loose, and let them take this information and do something about the problems that we're facing. Strength in numbers. We can have strength in numbers. You can inform everybody that you know. You could start your own podcast, create these advocacy groups, whatever you can do. Just please comment if you're going to do something around the Buffalo area, and I will come out and help you with that or whatever I can do. I'd love to get involved with people. I'd love to build a community on this show. And the community, I'd like it to be based around action and around truth. So if you like the show, like and share and subscribe. And I thank you all for watching.